This week, the nice folks over at Xvive not only sent in their new PX personal monitor over CAT5 system for a review, but they actually sent in a second system just for me to give away to someone in this video, so stick around to find out how that could be you. You can support these videos by joining the channel either here on YouTube or on Patreon, or by just using the affiliate links in the description below. So the Xvive team noticed that we like to talk all things audio over CAT cable here on the channel, and they were eager to get an honest opinion about their new take on the concept. What they've come up with here is a personal 3-channel mixer and headphone amplifier that gets its signal via a passive audio over CAT cable and can be powered either locally at the pack using AAA batteries or remotely using wall power. On the box and in the literature, they do call that wall power option PoE power, and while you are technically sending power over an Ethernet cable if you do that, saying PoE implies, to me at least, that it would be compatible with other PoE devices, power injectors, and things like that, and I don't believe that's the case here. They also don't include that wall adapter, so if you want to use that option, you'll have to provide your own 9-volt 500 milliamp center negative power supply to power one unit, or they call for a 9-volt 2-amp supply to power up to 4 of these at a time. So instead of the 4 channels we're used to seeing on passive cat snakes, which are of course derived from the 4 twisted pairs that are inside a cat cable, this system gives us 3 channels. The idea here is that you can provide a performer with a stereo mix along with a 3rd channel of themselves, or 3 discrete channels that allow them to adjust the mix on their own as needed. You can obviously do all sorts of configurations and give the performer or on-camera presenter or any other type of talent personal control of their overall mix volume and balance. The sending end of this unit is fairly simple, just 3 XLR input connectors, and both those and the EtherCon connectors used here are ReAN connectors, and they of course are part of the Neutrik group.
The Neutrik group is consisting of 3 different brands: the Neutrik brand, the Contrak brand, and the ReAN brand.
Opening the sending unit up, we can see the PCB that breaks out the connectors in pairs and how those share a ground together, while the 4th pair handles the DC power. With the unit, they provide a 25-foot CAT cable, which doesn't have any identifying marks or writing on it apart from the ends being ReAN. But it feels okay for light stage use. It's certainly not a super rugged one though. I've been using this system with various flavors of SoundTools SuperCat network cables, and they all work great, and I highly recommend them to anybody looking at systems like this. The manual says you can go up to 200 feet with these units, and also references a hub that you can get to allow up to 5 of these to work together in a group, and that you can use multiple hubs to go beyond 5 users if needed. Inside the battery compartment, there are a pair of dip switches per channel, which allow you to select or effectively pan the signal to the left or right side of the headphones. I first configured it to have input 1 go to both sides of the headphones, with inputs 2 and 3 being routed to the left and right sides respectively. Once I clipped it onto my belt though, I quickly realized that input 3 ends up closest to the user on top near the volume knob, so I changed things around to make it so that's the solo input, and inputs 1 and 2 are the stereo mix, so that way things are just easier to reach without looking in the order I would need them most often. One issue I've had with this unit while using it is accidentally bumping the power selector switch with my thumb when I'm adjusting the volume. It's really easy to do if you're not paying close attention. Now that switch just lets you choose between PoE power or the internal batteries, but if you've only got one or the other hooked up, bumping that switch in either direction turns the unit off. Now I think they did go out of their way to use stiffer potentiometers on this so those wouldn't be so easy to bump accidentally, so it's unfortunate that that power switch ended up where it did. The switch even sits proud of the surface, and if it was just recessed it wouldn't be an issue, so maybe that's something they could do easily in an update. Another small issue on this end of the receiving unit is just how close they put the 3.5mm headphone jack to the volume knob. I know with in-ear monitors in mind, most of those do have low profile connectors, but not all headphones do, especially studio headphones. You can see just how close of a fit it is here with these Bear dynamic headphones, so something to keep an eye on depending on what kind of headphones you use. Getting down to sound quality, these do a fine job driving the different headphones I have here quite loud while sounding good. And I mean that relative to the price point, but if you've used any of the small 3-channel or 2-channel or 1-channel personal mixers by Yamaha, Behringer, or Mackie, this is in line with those as far as headphone amp quality. What you've got to remember though is while the audio path between your primary mixer and these little mixers is passive, they are very much an active mixer and headphone amp, and if you get the gain relationships between those different stages of amplification set incorrectly, it's pretty easy to either overdrive the inputs with the signal you are sending, or for the user to overdrive individual channels and end up with a distorted mix. I think most users will be able to figure this out fairly quickly, but we all know those folks who will make a mess of things if you give them any level of control over something they're unfamiliar with. So if you're experiencing poor results, it's probably worth your time to walk through the signal path and see where things are being set at each step along the way. It makes a big difference. So my first impression is that these are a solid value for what you're getting. They're very usable and provide a convenient alternative to otherwise carrying a small mixer and getting a feed to that by traditional methods. Obviously, there's all sorts of other ways to do this in the digital domain, and there's no single personal monitoring solution that's going to work for everyone. But I'm pretty sure that there are folks out there that are going to be interested in these. If you're one of them, leave a comment below this video and let us know how you'd use them, what you think you would use them for, how you'd set them up, and what other gear you'd be using them with, and I'll pick somebody to send this to. I'm going to send the one I used in this video to a musician friend so he can beat it up and really try it out. So maybe we'll revisit these again down the line a little bit when I've got some more feedback on how they really work. Thanks again to Xvive for sending these over, and thanks to everybody who uses the affiliate links down below, and to all the Patreon members and members of the channel here on YouTube. I'll see you in the next one.